Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 7 of the Tap HR podcast. I'm really pleased that we've gone past 100 downloads, which is fabulous. And last week we also got featured in the Daily Mail Online, so that was pretty awesome too. Today we're talking about recruitment and how small to medium-sized businesses can attract talent. And I'm joined by the fabulous Shelly Hill. So Shelly is by far the best recruiter that I've ever worked with. We're going to ask her some questions to help you as a business attract the best talent to your business. So Shelly, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Yes.
So first question, we'll start off fairly broad. What is the best way for businesses to attract talent to them?
I think the best thing someone can do if they're looking to add someone to their team and their organisation is dip into their network, because you're bound to know someone in the professional space that you work in who can either A, do the job themselves, or B, know of somebody that could possibly be interested in working for your organisation. So I think that's the quickest way to find someone who's going to be in that specific industry area. And I think the best way I find people do this, it's not the only way, but I think the best way to do it is to do it via LinkedIn. I think if you have a LinkedIn account, tap into who you connect and then maybe put a post out to say that you're looking and what opportunity you have. And people can share that with their network as well, so you get that extra exposure. So if you don't have a LinkedIn account, definitely create a LinkedIn account. I think that's definitely something people should be looking to do.
And I think some people forget about the free things that you can do with LinkedIn. So as you said, you can pop a post on, but also you can get at least one free job advertisement with LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So if you're a small business, you don't have to necessarily pay to advertise on LinkedIn, but you can still tap into all of the candidates that are available out there, as well as using your network in the way that you've said.
LinkedIn's great for that because it works two ways. So people can register for job alerts in a specific industry area that they're looking for, but also it will send jobs to people who have keywords from what you're looking for in their profile. So just tap into a passive market as well. So I definitely recommend that. I think that's absolutely essential. And it's also a way for you to, on your personal profile on LinkedIn, but also on an organisational profile of LinkedIn, showcase what your company is all about on a less in your face, we're hiring kind of way, but just in a, this is what we do, this is what we're about. And you get to see other employees that work for your organisation, so people can sort of feel like they resonate with you and your business and what you do, and hopefully that will help attract people to your organisation as well.
Would you say LinkedIn's the only network that people could use to attract candidates, or are there other ones that you'd recommend them using too?
I think LinkedIn's probably the broadest. Then you start, and then LinkedIn has lots of groups that you can join as well, so niche specific industry sector areas. And I think there's other than that, you need to start going into platforms where specific industry related people network. So if it's IT and software, there's Stack Overflow, and there's forums, and there's chat rooms, and there's stuff other stuff in that's more specifically related. I think the best thing to do then is, if you know somebody with a skill set that you're looking for, is ask where they go to stay up to date with either legislative information, or if there's an associated affiliation to that business or that industry sector. That's another good platform to utilise and hang out on and have a look there.
Awesome. Okay, and then what about things like employee referral schemes? What are your thoughts on those?
Yeah, definitely. So primarily, if you use your own network and who you know, the second step then is to utilise your employees' network and who they know. So it's like a ripple effect. It's just the compound effect of coming out from there just gets bigger and wider. And I think employees are a really good tool to utilise in your recruitment strategy, because they are great brand ambassadors for you. They work for you. And also people are more likely to buy into what they say, because they're going to trust someone who works there twofold, because one, they know they work there, and secondly, someone who works there is not going to be misleading you in any way, shape or form, because it's in their interest for you to come and like where you work if you do join, because you don't want to get there and then bump into that person and go, oh, it's horrible here, why did you make me come? So they're going to be more honest, and that's not a bad thing. So they're going to be more real about what kind of food's in the canteen, the parking situation, the commute, the traffic, all those kind of the things that don't get captured in a job description or an advert, but are really critical to someone's decision about whether they move role or not. Because unless you're appealing to a market of people who are unemployed, which is highly unlikely in a skilled market. You're going to be appealing to someone who's currently working. So there's going to be some leverage more than about the job, why they move. So the commute, the parking, other aspects. And somebody who already works for your organisation is definitely going to be more honest about that. So I think if you're going to implement an employee referral scheme, obviously incentivise it, because you know the leverage on that is going to be even greater if you add some kind of reward, be it financial or even a day off, annual leave, something like that. But I think you definitely need to keep the process simple, accountable, transparent. Sorry, and promote it. You wouldn't believe how many companies have a really great employee referral scheme and then don't tell their employees. It's like, how's that going to work then? So the amount of companies I work for, and I've gone to the employee, you do know if you refer someone, you get £2,000. They're like, no, why did I not know that? So you're going to have to promote your live vacancies and your positions to your current employees so that they can go and spread the word for you as well.
Would you say it's difficult for employers to set up a referral scheme?
There's definitely an administrative process behind it, and you're going to have to sort of just strategically think, how are you going to do it? Because are you going to do it per vacancy, or are you just going to do it on the name of the person and then put a time frame around that, irrelevant of what role they come to the company to do? So some companies are very strict. You have to put them forward for a specific role, like role reference number 212, and only that role. They'll only be considered for that. So if then they get job number 213, which is still the same job, still a software engineer job, for example, no, you're not going to get your bonus. And that kind of disincentivizes people, because if you're in a medium-sized company and you've got a number of vacancies, starts becoming hard work. So it may be better to keep it more simpler and just say, if you just introduce someone to the company, irrelevant of what role they do, within a 6-month period or a 3-month period, whatever, we will give you your bonus.
Definitely.
And that might make it a bit more easier and, you know, a good option for people to then use the scheme.
Yeah, I would usually tie it into someone's probationary period, so that once you've decided that it's right for you and they've decided it's right for them, then that payment comes. And you can just set a reminder in your diary. So it doesn't have to be massively complex to set up, but obviously it's a massive gain to the employer.
Massive. Yeah, because people are going to refer people they want to work with as well. They're not going to refer someone they know is difficult, or they don't want to work with them, work for them if they're going to be more senior than them. So you're going to have a happier workforce in general, because people are going to be glad so-and-so came to work for them, and that's going to build, morale as well. So
fabulous stuff. One of the things that I find quite frustrating is where I see a job advert which is literally just a job description copy and pasted. So what are your views on whether or not a job description should be what's used for an advert, or if they should be two separate things?
Yeah, definitely two separate things. Absolutely. A job description and a job advert are two distinct documents. And if I was advising a hiring manager, I would say write two separate documents. So I think the simplest and cheesiest way I explain this, or try and sort of help people understand why they're two different items, is, when you watch Mr. Kipling or any other brand cake advert on the telly, they go delicious, moist, tasty, they're enticing you, they're engaging with you, they're encouraging you to buy their cake. They're not sitting there going 2 eggs, 50 grams of flour, bake for 180 for 2 minutes. The recipe and the description of the cake are two different things. And that's really how you should look at recruiting for someone. So the job description is going to be someone's core accountabilities, what they're going to do, what they're going to be responsible for in your business. And that's like a legally binding contract. That's contractually what they're going to commit to do for you, and what you're going to reward them for. So that's going to be, in its essence, quite a dry document. It's going to be listed. It's going to be. It's not enticing. It's not sexy in any way. If you publish that document, it's not going to sound good. It's not going to make people want to quit their job and come run and work for you. So definitely writing a separate advert that's punchy, engaging, exciting, captive. And people are, the way with TikTok and Instagram Reels and that fast moving, way the world is going, technologically speaking, especially if you're appealing for jobs that are going to attract a younger demographic, or you want to hire graduates or anything like that, you need to hook them with the first line. It needs to be straight bang into the job, no waffle about the company or where you are or anything like that. Save that for later. Just go straight into the job. Probably why the job's come about. If it's a new position, definitely that should be your opening line. We have a new position. Shows that you're growing, shows that, it's a role that's not been previously there to define, you know. So that's my probably number one tip for writing a good job advert. And then once you get down the line, then you can start out like a rippling effect in terms of you start out with the role, then start out the team, then the company, and just build it out wider the further you go. If you're going to bear in mind that most people are going to be using handheld devices, then even more the first paragraph is your hook. And I would definitely get a couple of people involved in this process. If you leave it to one person in the company, you're just getting one perspective, one set of biases, conscious or unconscious. Typically people try and recruit in what they see in themselves. And if you want a diverse and inclusive organisation, which you should, statistically they perform better, they produce better, their profits are higher. So, that's definitely what you should be aiming for. Get people who are not like you, did a different academic profile to you, a different industry sector from you. Get someone else to help read and create this document and cast their eyes over it, definitely.
And what do you think, or what are the things that you would advise people to be aware of that should and shouldn't be within an advert?
Yes, I still see must have 5 years experience. I mean, I could spend 5 years playing football, wouldn't make a bat of difference. Let me tell you, I still wouldn't be able to kick this ball. So you shouldn't be quoting years experience. That's a big no. It falls under the Age Discrimination Act anyway, so you'd be pulled up on it potentially. If you want someone to have experience in the catering industry, for example, you say must have proven, demonstrable, other words like that, experience in the catering industry, so that people know that you want that from them. It doesn't have to be quantified by years. Obviously you need to be mindful of anything about maternity, pregnancy, gender, sexual orientation. Avoid using macho-y words like gung-ho attitude, or bubbly. Oh, I hate that word. Must have a lovely, bubbly personality. Oh! I mean, they can be deemed as stereotypically gender. You wouldn't call a man bubbly typically. You wouldn't call a woman gung-ho. So, avoid those kinds of phrases. You want, just don't put those in for sure. Bubbly. Don't.
Other things that I always find quite frustrating is when you see a job advert and it tells you all about the benefits, but when you start talking about salary, it says competitive.
Yeah.
Because for me, if your salary's that competitive, tell me what it is. What's your thoughts on whether or not salaries should be included within job adverts?
It's a difficult one, and I've worked with organisations that had a very fixed set salary banding, absolutely to the penny, would not go over X amount. And then I've worked for a company where we did the whole competitive salary. We would discuss that with the candidate upon application, or if we were going out and approaching them, discuss it with them. And that would be more like what are you currently on? What are you looking for? What's your expectations? It's tricky because the competitive thing does work, because it does open up a pool of candidates that you might not consider your role, or you might not consider right for you. But it's hard work. You're going to need someone in-house that's got the time to do that. And if you're just relying on people applying to the job in that pool of candidates that are going to actively apply to your role, you're going to be wasting your time, theirs, and everybody else's. So, and it also depends on your company. What is your salary structure like? Is it quite flexible and open to discussion for the right person? It depends how you're hiring as well, because if you have a set role, this is the role you're going to need, you're going to do X, Y, and Z for the next forevermore and a day, then that role's not really going to grow or expand too much. So you can have a set salary band depending on what the market dictates. But if you're going to have going to hire somebody because, and you see this on Dragon's Den all the time, they come with, I don't know, a yoga pot squeezer or some crazy stupid gadget that the dragons aren't interested in, but they go, you know what, I like you, I'm going to invest my money in you. So, and you get that a lot with sort of more techie people, you know, and techie companies where they just want to invest in the person. So they may do this role now because this is the job vacancy they have, but they can see a career progression path within the company for the person, and therefore depending how that person grows and develops within that role, they may be worth more in time as they grow. So depends on your role. If it's, let's just assume it's a set role to do X, Y, and Z for the near foreseeable future, and you have a set salary banding scheme, then yes, definitely put the salaries on, because people will self-weed themselves out the application process, and then at least they know that the applicants you do have coming through are going to not be put off when you say, oh, it's £40,000. Oh, well, I'm on 80, or anything like that. You're not going to have that conversation and rule yourself out. If you're looking for tartan paint, you know, you're looking for something so rare, so specific, so niche, then probably is best to keep the salary competitive, but then you're probably not going to get someone actively job seeking on an advert, and you're going to have a different recruitment strategy for that role anyway. So it's really up to you. Bear in mind, if you keep it competitive, you're going to have to call all the applicants that you like the look of and just ask what they're looking for, and just verify that actually you would be prepared. If there's all singing, all dancing, oh my God, that person's amazing, I really want to hire them. What are they on? I'll match it, I'll beat it, whatever. I want them to come work for me. And you're prepared to do that, great. If you're not prepared to do that, then you know, you're just wasting everyone's time.
If you are advertising kind of via a job board or LinkedIn to kind of combat that issue, could you have a drop down where people can input what their required salary is? So at least then when you're shortlisting, you can see whether or not these people are just massively out of your price bracket. And then figure out
what you find is, though, if you go cagey, they go cagey. Because they don't want to overcommit and sell themselves short. Because they might think, well, in their head, they really might be paying 6 figures. So if I go on and go, oh yeah, I only want 50, then they'll go, oh fine, we'll pay you 50. And again, I always suggest to hiring managers, if they're punching, you know, if they're being paid less than what they're worth, don't take advantage of that situation. That's why they're looking, you know, pay them what they're worth, pay them what you were going to pay someone anyway. Don't, you know, one, they'll come to you, and two, that's just the right ethical thing to do, you know. The only thing you do need to be mindful of, and I have seen this happen, is, so say, for example, you're looking for, I don't know, a PA, and you have 4 or 5 other PAs in your company. Don't advertise this PA role, it's the same as your other PA roles, at a higher salary band than what your current PAs are on, because they're obviously going to see that advert and they'll open up a whole new can of worms. So if you do feel that the current market dictates that you should be paying PAs this, and your current PAs are on this, then you need to do a salary review of your current PAs before you go to market, because otherwise you'll hire 1 PA, but you'll lose 4.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you'll have a mutiny on your hands. And it doesn't lend well, because the first thing a new PA is going to do is network with all the established PAs, and they're going to be peed off that that person's there on more money than they are. So definitely review that if that's what you're doing.
And what about how long you should advertise for? Is there a time that it works to advertise something for, or is that pretty fluid? What do you think?
I wouldn't leave it fluid. I would, in a competitive market, and if in the active job pool, people are moving fast. So the first thing I do when I sit down with the hiring manager, go, right, let's look at your diary. If we start the advert campaign from here, let's put the end date in now. Let's book the day that we're going to sit down and review CVs together, or the day that you're going to clear your diary and review CVs, and then the day you're going to interview. And even better, if you can put those dates in the advert to say closing date 10th of September, interviews to be held week commencing the 16th of September. So, you know, people then know what to expect. So you don't get calls to your office or your HR department or whoever's doing, when are you interviewing? I haven't heard back from you, but they already know. And also you've already cleared your diary. So there's no, the date closes and your hiring manager goes, oh yeah, I'm on holiday for 2 weeks. Then when I come back, I'm on a course, and then we'll review the CVs. Then I'm going to be like, there's no point, because all those people would probably have gone. So we're just going to be starting again. So definitely setting a time scale from the start.
Awesome. And then what are your thoughts on where people should advertise? I mean, I would have thought that would vary depending on the different roles, but any kind of general tips and hints that you can give our listeners and watchers?
Yeah, I mean, if you've got your own website, definitely put it on your own website. And then other websites will pick that up and post that for you. Glassdoor is a good one as well to post free adverts. If you want to go the free route, then definitely those are your mediums. LinkedIn, if you utilise any leverage on there, that would be either free or a small fee. I hated advertising jobs when I was an in-house recruiter, because you would either get loads of applications, just aspirational applications I call them, or you would get none and just waste your money. So it's a fine line. You don't want hundreds of applications. I would get hiring managers that would get really excited about how many applications they got. Wow, I got 150, like brilliant. And I go, no, that's not a good thing, because now someone's going to have to sit and read 150 CVs. So it's not a numbers game. Don't go for the numbers. Ideally 10, 10 to 15. And you just want to be halving each time. So if you get 20, great. 10 probably going to be no good. Select your best 10. Then you go for first stage interview, then you go down to 5, then you got 2 final applicants. You see what I mean? You want to go that route. So you don't want volume. If you're looking for anything specifically industry-led, architectural software, something like that, then try and go to a medium where those types of industry people will be. Again, affiliation of architects or software pages, a lot of software forums, Stack Overflow, that kind of place where software people are going to be present. Not necessarily job seeking as well, so that would be even better. You tap into a market of people who aren't necessarily active, because the active job seeking market is pretty small. Obviously it fluctuates with the economy. There's periods of time when the job market is more buoyant than others, but especially in a skilled market, it's never going to be everybody. So you want to really get where those people are.
And with job boards, I think I'm obviously totally taking on board what you said around advertising, but it's what I would normally say to my clients is, if you are going to go to a job board and it's a generalised role, if you can pick one that's going to spider to different places, you're going to get more value for money. Is that something that you'd advise?
Definitely, yeah. You've got things like Total Jobs, Reed.co.uk, Indeed, and they've got divisions, like industry sector divisions on there. So if a job seeker is looking, they can filter in construction, catering, and be more niche in that respect. So you are going to get more of a taste. And the good thing about those as well is I think you can add filtering questions on the end, like yes or no questions to weed out the aspirational applications for people who just, click, I'll just apply, CEO, I can do that. You don't want those, obviously. So they can help put like 3 or 4 yes or no questions at the bottom that will take those people somewhere else for you. So you just get the ones that are giving you the answers that you want. So that's a really great.
What would you say employers should do if they've advertised a role, they've got candidates coming through, but they're not quite the candidates that they want, or they know they need to recruit, but actually they've not got the ability to commit the time to go through all the CVs and put that time into the process? What are their next steps and what are their options? I
think if you've reached that stage, and that's the space I've been in, very niche roles, where you probably need to partner with somebody, a professional recruiter or a recruitment agency. You need support basically on someone who does this day in, day out. That's their bread and butter. That's probably the next stage left for you to go to, really. I think if you're going to work with someone, pick someone industry related. So if you're going to do catering, go to a catering specialist. If you're going to do legal positions, go to a legal specialist, because they're going to know all the movers and shakers in that arena and that space, and they're going to know the industry terminology. They're going to know what the market's like. They're just going to give you that head start that you desperately need from someone who isn't in that space. Try and go for someone local. I think that way you're going to get local candidates then. I think unless your role is so niche that the specialist agencies are only based in the big cities like London, Birmingham, Manchester, that kind of thing. But if you can, try and stick to someone local, because then you'll get local candidates, and that's obviously ideally what you want. I think The best thing you can do, definitely, is then invite them to your office, premises, buildings, campus, whatever, site, and show them round, because you want to, it's a partnership. I think if you're going to go in with the mindset that you're just handing it over to someone else completely and washing your hands of it, you're not going to see the results that you do if you partner with somebody and invest a little bit of time, effort and energy into showing them around your office and your buildings, showing them where the person would work, introducing them to the team of the colleagues people will work with, letting that person really understand what not only the role is like, because obviously they can get that from the job description and talking to you, but also what the company is like, what the offices look like, what the parking's like, what the food in the canteen is like, you know, what their colleagues are like, because they're going to go out and speak to people who probably aren't job seeking. So those people are going to be way more cagier about who they speak to, who they give their CV to. And if you're just going to read them an advert, a job description, they're going to put the phone down on you faster than a cold caller. So they're going to want to know all the details that aren't in a job description and an advert. They're going to want to know what's it like to park, what's the traffic like, what's the team like, what's the career progression like. They're going to ask you all those kinds of questions. So you need to know that as a recruiter. A recruiter's not going to work with a manager who doesn't give them all that information. And the more knowledgeable your recruiting person is, the more passionately they're going to talk about your role, your company. I went to visit this client, the premises are lovely, it's on a beautiful grounds and estate with a lake, and the food in the canteen did the best bacon butties, only takes 10 minutes to commute there, parking's wonderful, so the role is this. And then someone's, you know, you brought someone in then, I would go, oh, that person knows what they're talking about. You know, they're not just, because they're going to ask questions like, you know, what's the team progression like? How long have people been there? You know, they're going to ask all those kind of questions. The more your person knows that you partner with, the better. And don't expect volume here. You know, I would work with people and I'd present, you know, 4 or 5 people and they'd be like, well, is that it? And I'd be like, yeah. I mean, what did you expect? You know, it takes a lot, because there's a lot that goes involved behind the scenes to getting people to open up, to talk to you, to submit their details, to have some time for you. So that's definitely my tips. Invite them to your premises, partner with them, engage with them, be honest. You know, if this is the 4th person in this seat for this year, why? You know, and they'll help challenge you as well. Be open to that. You know, because they'll give you salary advice, and if you go, oh, I had this advert up and I had no one, the salary is £20,000 and I want this, that and that, and they'll go, yeah, you're not going to get that for that. So they'll be market leaders in that industry sector as well, so they'll give you a load of invaluable advice as well. So that's definitely my top tip for going down that next step.
Fabulous. And shameless plug, obviously if you want access to myself and Shelly to do recruitment, contact TapHR. Is there anything else that you think it would be useful for employers to know? I think we've covered a real kind of wide range of things.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're going to partner with someone, you know, the honesty is definitely the best way to go, because don't pay someone up front too much money to begin with. I think working on a contingency basis to begin with is always the way to go. But then be mindful that you've got a short shelf life in how long that person's going to work for you, because if it's a no-win, no fee for them, they're not going to spend 6 to 8 weeks. They're going to move on to a client who takes their feedback on board and doesn't give them, you know, silly requirements for unicorns and tartan paint. So you be realistic. So I think that's where the honesty thing comes in. So be mindful of that. You know, you're going to have a short shelf life if you're not partnering with them well. I can't think of anything else really. There's probably loads more, but
that's it. I think, to be honest, we've given a hell of a lot of really useful information.
It's a lot.
So
it's a lot.
So it's understandable that there's not more to add.
I mean, what I would do is when you bring someone in and show them around, is then go away and let them speak to your employees, or the team, without you around, because they may say things good and bad, and your recruiter needs to know that. So they can come back and say, you know, the reason why people you're not getting the people that you want to see in through. It's because you want X, Y, and Z, and the market blends for, you know, A, B, and C. So, you know, that's going to be really valuable feedback for you to take on board.
Definitely. Fabulous. Right, well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your expertise. Really, really appreciate it. And for everybody listening or watching, you get my standard disclaimer. Obviously, everything in the podcast is for general guidance only. If you need any legal advice, make sure that you take it. And you can see our full podcast terms on our website. So thanks for watching and thanks for listening.
Thank you.